accommodate everyone. Is that fine? Is that fine?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in front of you on your left hand side there is a building just in front. That is the visitor center. That's where the prisoners and their loved ones they would meet. They were only allowed to see each other 2 times a year. When they were here for their visitation, they were allowed to spend only 30 minutes. Language that was spoken here was English and Afrikaans. No African languages. Most of the political prisoners, they were African. So most of them, they could not understand English or Afrikaans. During their visitation, they will just sit looking at each other for the full 30 minutes, as they were not allowed to communicate with any African languages. There was a big thick glass that will divide a visitor and the prisoner, as they were not allowed to do any physical touch. During their visitation, prison warders were listening to their communication. If they were caught talking anything related to politics or anything that is happening around the country, their visitation will be terminated. So that means that they will have to wait for another 6 months to be able to see each other. People that were allowed to come here, they started from the age of 16 years. So anyone who was under the age of 16 was not allowed to come and visit any prisoner here during the apartheid era. Thank you. On your right hand side, ladies and gentlemen, there is a small building with a green roof. That is the Kramat. Did you all see the building? On your right hand side, the building with a green roof. That is a Kramat. It was built in 1967 by the prisoners. They dedicate that building to the Prince of Madura, who was banished here in the island in the 1700s. The reason why they banished him here, they were trying to stop him from teaching the Muslim religion. He was not from here, South Africa. He was from Jakarta in Indonesia. So he died here in the island, but he was not buried here. They sent him back to his country in Jakarta. So that building, it shows the relationship between the island and the Muslim religion. Thank you. That's where you'll be going to on your second phase tour. It was also built by the prisoners in 1963. I won't be telling you much more information about this maximum. On your second phase tour, the ex-political prisoner, he is the one who's going to tell you more information about what was happening inside this prison during the apartheid era. What I can tell you, while the prisoners were building the maximum, they found the graves. So on our next stop, I will be telling you more about the graves that were found by the prisoners while they were building the maximum security prison. On your right hand side, this is the leper graveyard. There is 1,200 graves you see on your right hand side. Some of them, they are under the bushes. Some of the graves, they are under the maximum security prison. During the 1800s and the early 1900s, Robben Island, it was used as the dumping place whereby people that were suffering with certain diseases, they were dumped here in the island to die here. Those diseases were chronic, mental, and the leprosy ill people. As for the graves that you see on your right hand side, it's for people that were suffering with the leprosy disease. The leprosy disease, it was the disease that will affect eyes, joint, and the skin of the person. And if it was left untreated, it will do the permanent damage. So when those people were dumped here, they were separated in terms of gender. Reason for their separation, they did not want the leprosy disease to spread more. But through their separation, these people, they managed to do about 41 babies. Fortunately, those babies, they were not infected with the leprosy disease. So after 2 days they were born, they will be taken away from their mothers to the mainland for the foster adoption. On the year 1920, the cure for the leprosy, it was found, and patients who were suffering with the leprosy disease, they were given a treatment starting from 6 months to 2 years, depending on how affected the patient was with the leprosy disease. Thank you. Robert Sobukwe, he was one of the heroes or one of the legends of South Africa, just like Nelson Mandela. So I'm going to tell you a little bit history about Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. Okay, the gentleman at the back, he was asking to get off the bus. It's only the private, the people that will say they are the private tour. So that's why they allowed to go inside the Sobukwe complex. Unless if when we come back for our break, because we're going to have a 10 minutes break. If there is no bus here, then I can allow you to go to see in the Sobukwe. But not now, because we can't interrupt the private tour. So do all agree? Hello, sir? Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, he was born on the 5th of December in 1924. He was born here in South Africa, in Eastern Cape, in Gaffrenet. He furthered his studies in the University of Fort Hare in 1947, which was the only university during that time that could accommodate black people. And the year 1948, here in South Africa, that's the year whereby apartheid was being introduced. So Robert Sobukwe, together with Nelson Mandela, they joined the ANC Youth League in 1948. On the year 1949, they elected Sobukwe as the secretary of the ANC Youth League. So as the time goes by, his views and the views of the members of ANC will differ. He then decided to leave the ANC organization. In 1957, he became the newspaper editor that was Africanist in Johannesburg. On the year 1959, Robert Sobukwe and the other 9 members, they opened the organization that is Pan-Africanist Congress, PAC. In the same year, they elected Sobukwe as the president of the PAC. Then on the 21st of March in 1960, Robert Sobukwe, he led the march against the pass law. During that time here in South Africa, all the black people, they were required to carry a small book everywhere they go. There was a pass law. The name of that pass law, it was a dompas. Dompas, it is the Afrikaans word. In English, it means a stupid booklet. So they were required to carry that stupid booklet everywhere they go. And if they were caught by the police not having their stupid booklet in their hands, they will be given a fine of 60 rand, which they knew that during that time, black people, they could not afford it. So that means they will be arrested inside prison from 3 months to 6 months. As for Robert Sobukwe, he was against of that pass law, carrying a stupid booklet everywhere you go. Then on the 21st of March in 1960, Robert Sobukwe led a march against the pass law. He informed all the African people here in South Africa that they must leave their stupid booklet at home. Then they must go to their nearest police stations and ask the police to arrest them. On that day, there were thousands of black people who went to the police stations. The police stations were overcrowded. Then the police couldn't take it. They decided to shoot all the black people that were there. It was not only to shoot, it was shot to kill. In Sharpeville, there were about 69 people that were shot and killed, and 108 of them, they were shot injured. In the same year, they arrested Robert Sobukwe because of the march that he led. They put him in Pretoria prison for 3 years, from 1960 to 1963. On the year 1963, when they released Sobukwe, they decided not to let him go. Then they made a special clause for Sobukwe that was to be renewed every year. They brought him here in Robben Island. The first house that you see over there with a small tank next to it, that's where they put Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. When they brought him here, they said to him, he will not be treated like any other prisoners. As for the other political prisoners that were kept in the maximum security prison, like Nelson Mandela, Robert Sobukwe was isolated. He was kept on this house alone. They did not give him a uniform like the other prisoners, so he was able to wear his own civilian clothes. Sobukwe was not allowed to talk with anyone around Robben Island. Outside of his house, there were 4 prison guards, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. Inside the house, there were 2. Then in total, there were 6 prison guards that were watching Robert Sobukwe 24 hours. Even those prison guards, they were not allowed to talk with Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe. When the other political prisoners go into the limestone quarry, if they saw Sobukwe outside of his complex, they would greet him. He was not allowed to greet them back. What he will do, he will just pick up a piece of soil, let it flitter across his hand, just to show that the struggle still continue. They must not give up. That's the only thing Sobukwe could do to show his response to their greetings. After 4 years Sobukwe was here, it was in 1967. They started to discover Sobukwe had healthy issues. So that's when they allowed him to see his family, his wife and his kids. They were only allowed to come and see him during school holidays for only 30 minutes in a day, 5 days in a week. On the year 1969, the health issues of Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, they became worse. Then they decided to take him out of Robben Island. Reason being, they were afraid of being held responsible of Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe's death. Then they take him to Kimberley. There in Kimberley, they also put him on house arrest, where they watched him 24 hours. Every time Sobukwe wanted to do something, or whenever he wanted to go to a certain place, he had to report to them, and they were the one that will decide if they allow him or not. The only time Sobukwe was able to find his peace, it was when he died on the 27th of February in 1978. If you can see inside the Sobukwe complex, the small houses we see with a burglar, those are not the prison cells, they are dog kennels. There were German Shepherd dogs that were brought here in the island. It was after Sobukwe left Robben Island, they were brought here in 1977. Those dogs, they were here to watch the prisoners that were kept in the maximum security prison. Thank you. Is there anyone who noticed their hard work? When they first working here, it was in the early 1960s. They were promised to work for only 6 months, but that 6 months, it turns to 13 and a half years. They were digging the line. There was no actual reason to let the prisoners to work here, but they were just trying to keep them busy. They did not want the prisoners to stay the whole day doing nothing, because they knew that they will have time to discuss politics. So they wanted something that will keep them busy the whole day. They work for fully 8 hours in a day for 5 days during the week. So they knew that when they're going back to the prison in the evening, they will be tired. They won't have time to discuss anything that is related to politics. In the middle of the quarry, I am going to show you the cave. There is a small cave. That cave, the prisoners were supposed to use it during their lunchtime. While they were eating, they were supposed to sit there and eat as fast as possible. On the same cave, there were 2 buckets. Those bucket prisoners were supposed to use them as their toilet to relieve themselves, as they were not allowed to go around the bushes whenever they want to use the toilet. So as the time goes by, prisoners talk to each other that they must only use a toilet in the morning when they're leaving the maximum security prison. because it was impossible for them to use a same place to eat and also a same place as a toilet. So they decided to use that cave only during their lunchtime. They even named that cave as the University of Life. Most of the political prisoners, they were educated. There were some that were not educated, that could not even write their names. So during their lunchtime, while they were sitting on that cave, they were encouraging each other to further with their studies and also teaching the one that could not even write their names. In the entrance of the lime quarry, I am going to show you the heap of stones. Those stones were made on the 11th of February in 1995. That was the year after Nelson Mandela was being elected as the president of South Africa in 1994. So in 1995, he came here in the island together with the other ex-political prisoners. There were about 1,000 of them. So when they were here in the quarry, Nelson Mandela quietly excused himself to the group of ex-political prisoners. He then took a stone around the quarry. He put where I'm going to show you the heap of stones. So as the other political prisoners, each one take their stones. They name that heap of stones in Xhosa as Isivivane Solwazi. In English, it is the monument of remembrance. They wanted the future generation of different countries to be able to see where they suffered working hard for 13.5 years. Okay, now we're gonna wait for the bus in front of us to move so that we'll be able to see what I was talking about in the lime quarry. To the prisons that are in Cape Town, as for Robben Island, it was no longer a prison. The last political prisoners, they were released in 1991. That was the year after Nelson Mandela was being released in prison in 1990. Robben Island. This place during the apartheid era was occupied by the prison warders and their families only. The prisoners were not allowed to come on this side of the island. But in our days, there is a population of 200 people who stays on this village. Those people are the people who are working for Robben Island Museum. They include the management, maintenance staff. Some of them are ex-political prisoners. On your right hand side, this was the hospital that was only used by the prison warders and their families. But now it's a clinic. Everyone who stays here in the village, they use that clinic. Here, on top of the church, there is a long pole. On that long pole, every time when they have a baby that is being born, they will put a flag. If it was a boy, they will put a blue flag. Same applies if it was a girl, they will put a pink flag. In our days, we are using this building as the waiting place. Every year on the 14th of February, there are couples that come here to get married. This year on Valentine's Day, you heard about 20 couples who came here to get married. It operates until 2011. The Department of Education, they requested that it must be closed because there were only few learners that were attending on this primary school. As for the children that are staying here in Robben Island, they attend school in the mainland. And when there is too much windy, when we have no boat, they do not go to school. So that means they have more holidays than the one who stays in the mainland.
それから反応してピッてなったら僕の顔に真ん中の黒いの合わせてピッてなったらあとフレームを合わせて
写真撮ってもらったらものすごく小さいんで一番お願いしていいですか。人間ははい
こっちいいだよ、小さくてもいいこのぐらいでいい、これならちょっと
ありがとうございます。
2枚。
はい。自分が映ってれば。こんなちっちゃいんだ。これを入れると、
全部入れるのは
無理なんですよね。このちっちゃいカメラじゃ私らなんては。耳が痛い。
ちょっと押してもらえますか。
私でいいですか？
押すだけ。軽く押して、その点でガサッと。
はい。
そうですよ。
指は真横に。でもうちょっと上。
お花かけてらっしゃるから。
どっちか一人じゃないと。でもうちょっと上に。
そんなもんですか？いいですか？わからなくて眠くてここなんか言ってたけど、これだけね、なんか説明出して
すぐ10分なんか来ちゃう。
写真は
なんとか。
いいですか？はい。
10分と何分だ。25。
潮の香りがしますね。なんかね、ちょっと幻想的ですよね。なんか下のところがもやがかかって、本当は街があるんですけども、今もやがかかってるから街が見えなくって、本当に浮かぶような感じね、ありますので。この枠は昔なかったですね。はい、だいぶ前にしたんですけども、帰った時にはこの枠がなかった。
船はどっちから向こうのあたり？
いやいや、あそこテーブルマンってあそこの下から来たんですよ。
だからまっすぐ来ただけ
だってそこをこうバックに来ましたから。
そう。
はい。そこのそうですね、どっちかっていうと右寄りの前のところにショッピングセンターとかウォーターフロントの船着き場がありますので、そこから来たんですけども、ただほら街が今もやで見えないんですね。
右側もやってるね。
はい、というかでも全部この前は全部建物があるんです。はい、港とか
じゃあバーッと見える。
はい、見えます。はい、だけども今はだから全くね、そういった建物が見えないので、ちょっとこう幻想的な感じにしていく。これはなかなかね、もやがね出ないんですか？
その手前のじゃないですかね、あれ多分海藻でしょう。向こうのもやの話じゃなくて、こっちは手前のね海藻でしょう、多分ね。全然食べない。あんまり食べないですね。もったいないね。
ゴムみたいに硬いんですよ。ここのとこだったらちょっとね、食用にはね、よっぽどなんか特別な機械ですごく細かくしないとタイヤのゴムみたい、そうなんか折り込むみたいな。これがね浮いてるやつがね本当にタイヤのゴムみたいな感じですごい硬いんですよ。で前佃島のね佃煮とかね売ってる人がいやここはタイヤで硬いわって言ってたんですけども、でも実際にはそれね特別な機械とかで細かく切らないと明日昨日の時に道端に一回打ち上げられて転がってますから、その時ちょっと触ってみてください。本当にねタイヤのゴムタイヤみたいな感じで硬くてちょっと使えるような感じのものではないですね。わかんない。 元囚人の人が案内してくれたりっていうので、若い人になってるんですよ。黒人の元囚人の人がね、実際入ってた人がね、説明っていうか、案内で回ってくる人がね、まあもうご高齢でしょうね。明日はですね、もっと南の方っていうか、ケープ半島の他の方に向かうので、角度が全然違う。今日、ケーブルカーテン登れたら、こっちに待ってたら、ロベン島が見える。あ、ロベン島見える。そうですね。
Are we all back, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm back.
Are we all back? Did you enjoy your 10 minutes break? Okay, now we are going to the prison for our second phase tour. The shop that we're coming to now, it is managed by Christo Brandt. Christo Brandt, he was the prison warder of Nelson Mandela. Some of you did see him when he was here. Unfortunately, he did not stay longer, but if he would have stayed longer, I would have asked him to come and share his story with you while he was a prison warder of Nelson Mandela. He started working here at the age of 18 years during the apartheid era, and he's still working here in Robben Island. The size of Robben Island, it is 574 hectares. When you are driving, you can spend 30 minutes to be able to finish the whole island. And when you are walking, you can spend 2 hours to be able to finish the whole island.
Yes. So we gotta do this on Saturday. Yeah. Shush.
The word the Robben Island, it comes from the word from the Dutch people. They were the first people who sailed here in Robben Island. They were from Europe. When they came here, they were made through the animals that were here. There were more than 1,000 seals. So they gave Robben Island the word that says Robben Island. In English, it means Seal Island. So that's where the word Robben Island comes from.
So, I thought you might be. And I thought you might be from Durban.
Yeah, but I'm from Durban.
Yes.
South Sudan?
North Sudan.
North Sudan.
Yes. Sudan, I like to call it